might scratch and might bark a bit at the door. I'm not being mean. We just got back from a walk and she has rolled in some animal feces. I did not realise they were on the ground. She started rolling and I thought, oh, this is nice. She's having fun, because we were walking in a new area. Well, new to Sally. I'd considered doing this walk on Tuesday, but I don't know, I'm out of seeds in my teeth, sorry about that. I considered doing this walk on Tuesday, but I couldn't properly remember it. And I really did fancy doing the usual walk that I do around Mac Forest, up to the benches, back down. So I sent a message to my sister last night to be sure of where to go on this walk. And I'd got into my head that you go one way. And she said, no, that doesn't work. Well, having done this walk, I now remember why in all of the walks I've done solo since she begged off to live with a boyfriend, I haven't included this one. Because this is steep. This is having to stop regularly to exhale and feel your heart thumping in your chest. Especially when you haven't done a walk like this in a while. And I just messaged my sister saying to her, I remember why I don't like this walk. It's steep, bloody hell. And she's messaged me back saying it is. And that's why when I could do it without having to stop, I felt like I'd achieved something. I was like, I wasn't looking for achievement, love. I was looking to have a nice walk with the dog. And I'd miscalculated how hot it was going to be up there anyway. And I got my coat on and I was too far away to turn around and go back to the car. So I had that on. Hopefully that's burned a few more calories. But now I need to have a bath because, well, or a shower. But I need to get clean before I head off to the writers group this afternoon. And I need to bathe the dog. And I have a seed stuck in my tooth. I should not have had seeded batch bread before coming to record this clip. But hey. This is who I am. Sorry, I'm waiting on a parcel. A few weeks ago, I ordered 3 books from Tilted Access Press that were longlisted for the International Booker. And it said that they could take 2 weeks to arrive, and 2 weeks was yesterday, when I received Love in the Big City by Sang Young Park, translated by Anton Her. And I had no dispatch notice, so I didn't know it was coming. But the other 2 books aren't with it. Anyway, that's fine. Last night, I had my Italian conversation with la mia amica italiana, and we discussed L'uomo di Neanderthal, which she brought me this A4 sheet of paper into work, and we read over it and translate, and any words she doesn't have the English translation for, then I help her find out the word. Similarly, she's doing the same for me in Italian. This was actually quite easy for me to get through, which, well, not easy. That's not the word. I have now been learning Italian for 710 days. So I could get through these 3 paragraphs quite easily, but I got to Cultura and I was like, are you kidding me? It's all the bits between the words, so I'll understand what the word is, but I can completely change the meaning of a sentence in my head when I don't look at the bits between certain words. And she also told me that there's one word that I've been saying wrong, which is gli, G-L-I, as in voglio, and where was the other word? She said meglio. And apparently a lot of Italian people do this as well. They don't pronounce the G, but I ought to be pronouncing the G. And she says that Italian teachers are just lazy. And I was like, oh, okay. But I'll try. I'm going to try. It's a strange sound. And she said it's a difficult sound when you don't speak that language. I'm like, well, apparently you're telling me it's difficult for the people who do speak the language. But it's only 3 letters. I shouldn't be too overwhelmed. But this morning I finished reading Build Your House Around My Body by Kupersmith. which, again, longlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction, and we have a new favourite. So this book beats The Sentence, or it could be on a par with The Sentence. Basically, this has what I like in fiction, which is mystery and mysticism. It's one of those where very weird, surreal things are happening, and the reader just has to go along with it because there's no questioning the way the world works. This is just the way that the world works. And I think that Kupersmith has managed to craft a really extraordinary, what I believe to be debut novel. And I don't know how a person manages to do this. I am quite astounded. I thoroughly appreciate the supernatural aspects within this novel, and I appreciate how they were intertwined with the regular tale, which is of two women who have gone missing 30 years apart. The character that we spend most of our time with is Winnie, and her portion of the tale is set in 2011, when she has had a bit of a hard time, and you can tell she's had a hard time since she's come to Saigon from America, but we don't know why. That is unveiled throughout the novel, and then you go back and forth in time from the events of Winnie's disappearance, but as it does say, there's the two disappearances in this novel. I have to say, at the end of reading this, I messaged Charlie, who I'm reading the Women's Prize long list with, and I said I'm still not sure who all of the characters are within this novel and how they relate to each other. But that didn't upset me. To me, that kind of bore rereading the novel. There is so much more to go back and explore and unpick with this one. I will say, if you don't like surreal and you don't like the mysticism aspects of a novel and you don't like a non-linear storyline, then this tale is not going to be for you. But if you don't mind suspending your disbelief and being utterly confused sometimes, then I would say that this book is definitely for you. There are people who have weird predatory smoke living within them. There's fortune telling. There's a lot to do with hair. And even then you have the grotesquerie of people who seem to have no supernatural abilities at all. They're just arseholes. I think that Kupersmith has managed to craft really fantastic characters. Winnie by no means is an innocent character despite being our protagonist. She has got her flaws and she has done things wrong. You get the idea that throughout her life she has been looked down upon. She was born after 3 siblings, and she talks in the beginning about how she ruined the pattern with their names, and they went on to do really great things. And there's this sense that she feels like she's never going to aspire to their levels. There's a lot in here about the way that women are treated and looked upon in society, and this mysticism really seems to be a almost physical way of emphasizing a person's inner power and the strength that they don't necessarily always show to people. This is a book that is definitely a book for me, as I say, it fits with that part of me that really likes the magic and the mystery, but it also does that with a very strong story that isn't told in the typical fashion. So whilst it is very much this mystery novel of where did Winnie disappear to, what happened to the woman in the past, with it being a non-linear storyline, as with many of the books that we've had for the Women's Prize, they're almost stories where everything in the end jigsaws together to give you the whole picture. And maybe that's just what all good fiction does. Nothing ever gives you the entire story straight away, but you're going to have hints throughout and little bits of connection between the two. I've just seen now that David Mitchell has blurbed this, and said, fiction as daring and accomplished as Violet Kupersmith's first novel reignites my love of the form and its kaleidoscopic possibilities. When I was reading this, I was thinking of David Mitchell and the weird surrealness within his books. So I think that if you do like David Mitchell, then you'll like this. David Mitchell, Robiano, maybe even a sprinkling of Angela Carter in there. And there are definitely more tales that I have read that could fit in with this, but I'm struggling to remember them right now. There is something folkloric within the prose. I like that the author grabs from mythologies that perhaps I don't know, or little folk tales, and brings them all together and interweaves them within the narrative here. So far, new favourite. And once I've read all of these books, I do intend on doing a ranking. As I said in my last video about the Women's Prize, DNF'd final revival of Opal and Nev for now, hoping to start the audiobook of The Paper Palace. And I think that because I have enjoyed the surrealist aspects in here, well, they're not surrealist, the weird bits in there, I'm going to go on to This One Sky Day next. I also have 3 library books due back by next week that definitely have to go back. I'm not too fussed about Flamingo, but I definitely want to do This One Sky Day and Careless before next Thursday. So I'm going to go put the bath on, get me coffee, and I'll see you when I see you.